Live. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Whoever is listening in to today's episode of Voice of Katz. And today I have a very exciting guest. I call him the Godfather. He's the Godfather himself. Soon you'll understand why we gave him that name. I have the incredible Elijah Laticbe. I've had professors struggle to pronounce your name, sir. So please introduce yourself.
So
properly.
For starters, my name is Laticbe Elijah. So apparently people get confused because Elijah is actually my last name and Laticbe happens to be my first name. And for that reason, Elijah, people seem to take it as my first name. But yeah.
Essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's most of us, the English name is the first name.
Mm-hmm.
So for you are like, no. Well, you're in a good place. Should have some American kids so that they...
I don't know about that.
But welcome to the show. Introduce yourself formally. What course you're doing, where I'm from.
All right, so I'm from Uganda. I was doing masters in cybersecurity. So I graduated about 2 weeks ago. So at this point, I'm an alumni. So yeah,
Yes.
that's basically it.
Yeah, man's an alumni. Okay, for those who don't know, Elijah was the first Ugandan on this campus, but we shall get to all that. So let's start from the beginning. You're in Uganda, and Elijah 2 years ago, very scared, doesn't know where he's going into. First, paint that picture for us. How did you come to get on this journey to come to, New York, to come to Katz School? How was that for you?
Okay, so I was doing my regular job in Uganda. I was doing like web development on the side, and I was also doing a customer care service representative job. But I always wanted to do cybersecurity way back when I was still doing my bachelor's degree in software engineering from Yeshiva University. So I tried applying for master's programs. I tried India. For some reason, things didn't work out. And then I was just doing my regular thing. I knew about this organization that offers student loans to students to study in the US and Canada. That was like in 2019. But, I guess when things not the right time, you don't take it at that point.
You knew about this in 2019?
Yes, 2019.
Wow.
I know about it. I knew about it.
I got admitted before I even knew about.
You understand? So
Wow.
first, moving fast forward, so I come across this other company that was talking about the same thing. I was like, okay, I think I need to reach out to these people. So I reached out to these people. These guys are based in Nigeria. And I try to find out some information, dig some information about them. Then I knew they were actually a third party. They were not the ones offering the service. They're not the one offering the money, but they're like, third party. And then I signed up. I remember asking them a lot of questions and I got exited from the group. I think I was stubborn because I went ahead and disclosed exactly what those people do. So they thought I was a threat to, to their money and, because these guys are targeting people to pay them money to do for them these services.
Yeah.
So what happens is, okay, they already had my info. So they kept sending me messages. So one day they sent me a message and I'm like, you know what? We're going to offer 30 people to be assisted for free. And I was like, okay, let me throw in my, my details. And guess what? They go back to me and they're like, okay, we've signed you a manager and this manager is going to take you through the whole process and, blah, blah, blah. And I worked with this guy. He did his job really well. He always looked out for me, always wanted to find out how far you've gone. He kept on like following up, really. He did his job really well. And I didn't pay a single coin. However, nice. A lot of people were paying for that service, right?
People pay for these
I got it for free. And, that kind of taught me also a lesson that, I also need to share these things to other people. And I also shared to other people freely. I didn't charge for no money. I don't charge anyone for these things. Yeah. So I help people just because I was also helped. Somebody
Yeah.
helped me.
Someone told me the best thing you can ever do is to pay it forward.
Exactly.
There's really no, because some of this, how do you pay such a thing back? It's like
You can't.
life changing.
Yeah.
So you pay it forward. So you get to the, that's how you go to start applying. How did you know about
Now,
Yeshiva?
Yeshiva University, this is how Yeshiva comes in the picture. So this guy sends me a couple of universities to apply to. Yeshiva was none of them the first time. So I applied to those universities, and one of them go back to me. Then one was asking for a lot of like details, and I felt like it was disturbing, right? And then this guy asked me, "They've not gotten back to you." I was like, okay, when one of them didn't give me an offer, they say, "Oh, the place was they had enough candidates, blah blah blah." And then this guy was like, "Okay, there are some other universities I want you to try." So he gave me Yeshiva, then he gave me some other group of universities. So I got to Yeshiva. The application process was really smooth. They were getting back to me in time. Like everything seemed to be moving the right direction. And I got my offer in probably a week after applying.
Yeah, they did.
So when I got that offer, I looked at the university. I got a little background. I'm like, Yeshiva University, a Jewish university in New York City. I'm like, you know what? I'm a Christian. I love like Jewish people. And I'm like, you know what? I think this is the right place for me to go.
Nice.
Mind you, I'd already gotten offers from the UK. I got over 6 offers from the UK prior to applying to Yeshiva University. So me choosing to come to Yeshiva University was quite straightforward to me. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You're right. These guys' processes are very fast.
Yeah.
They even me, I remember actually, to me, it kind of even scared me. I'm like, oh, these guys are too fast. I thought they was coming, but it was legit. I remember they called me. I was at a tech conference in Toronto, and they called me. I phoned missed calls, and then when I called back, they called and then they texted, like, "Hi, this is from Katz. Regarding your application." I was like, "I'm at a conference. Let me call you back."
Okay.
And then I called them back, and I remember taking that call and going, "This could be the call to change my life, and I don't know it." Something crossed my mind, like this could be the call, but it's just another call. And then I went outside, called them like, regarding application, we didn't give you this course, but there's, because I wanted computer science, but there's data analytics. I'm like, okay. And the pace at which, they move, from there, they get in your emails, they even phoned me on WhatsApp. Like, oh, hi, this is, I think it was Jared or someone who reached out regarding the application. Like, yes, the process is really fast. I also had tried other universities. Did that make you feel kind of like this is the right thing for me, or fitting the right spaces?
Yeah, because I'm a believer in God. Like sometimes if you try to do something, right, and it's not working out, it could be a message to you that this is not the right thing, right? And sometimes if things are working out the way you feel like, okay, it's like you're not struggling too much. You're not doing too much, right? It's like you're not doing too much. Everything is falling in place, right? The little effort that, you put in your effort, right? But things seem to be going the right direction. That's sometimes like a message to me. So obviously I love
when things click, they click.
Yeah, it's like things are just moving the right direction, and you're not having those how should I call it, like hurdles, right?
Yeah,
you're beating all those hurdles like real quick. You're not struggling so much. So that kind of was like a message to me. Yeah, and for my background, I'm a Christian. My family is Christian, and I grew up. My father is a pastor. So
your father is a pastor.
Yes, my father is a pastor. So
actually, I wanted to ask you about that.
So in the church, we'll be saying there's a verse in the Bible that says you have to bless Israel. If you curse Israel, then you're cursed. So
yes.
So the university itself, being a Jewish university, was
an advantage.
To me, it was like, okay, I was like interested to really, because I've never been in a Jewish environment. It was like a curiosity to me as well to also and maybe come and see how the Jewish maybe behave, their culture, because I've only heard about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
You spoke of family. During this time, I know moving and finding a place in New York, moving to another country and finding a place in a university is a whole hectic. Who was there with your family, friends? How's your community during that time? Were they supportive? Were they like, no?
I mean, my family wasn't involved right from the start. I would say they came in almost towards the end, right?
Yeah.
And the reason was simple. I tend to want to share good news.
When it's all
When
done.
things is almost there, that's when I tend to share it. The very first time my family got involved was when I was going to the visa application stage.
Oh,
When I had
wow.
applied for my visa, and I was like, okay, I need to tell them what is going on right now. Then I was like, you know what? I got an offer at Yeshiva University, and I need to go and, apply for my visa and attend the visa interview. So I told my father, I was like, I want to go do my master's program in cybersecurity. So getting the visa is also not the easiest thing. So I
No,
need you
nice.
guys to pray for me so I can,
Yeah, I know.
go
I
get this
understand.
visa,
Actually,
right?
that's I think that's most of us, to speak for most of us, especially if you're like an adult who has had the gap between your undergrad and now your master's, you've worked a bit, you've seen life a bit.
Yeah.
Most of us tend to, approach the whole thing ourselves,
Yeah.
try to get it done ourselves. Because we really also don't want to burden your family.
Exactly.
Because it's a
That's the whole
very,
point. I didn't want to bother them. Like,
yeah,
these guys have sponsored me for my bachelor's degree. Since I was a kid, I'll only be taking money from them. Now
Yeah.
it's my turn for me to give back. I don't want to get them involved. Even when it came to my air ticket, all that kind of thing, sometimes it's very expensive. People don't understand this, but traveling from a third world country or even a second world country and coming to a first world country is different from someone moving from a developed country back to a third world country, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
going to even visit. It's really a lot of money. It
Yeah.
takes a lot. Just applying for the visa itself, it's so taxing in terms of finances. So you don't
Can-
want to bother your family.
Can
want to
you,
do everything by
so before
yourself.
you go, yeah, can you walk us through some of the things that you are kind of scared of or worried about, or you looked and like, things that just keep you up at night in the whole process before you got to New York, before you got on that plane? From the application, what were you worried about? From the, visa application to the school application, to the whole process, your mind-wise? Because I know it's a very heavy process, mind-wise.
Honestly, I wasn't worried so
wow.
much.
Actually, most of us,
That's the uniquest thing about me. I was calm all through the process. I was so optimistic, I would say.
Nice.
I was very optimistic. I was like, you know what? The way things are moving, I was so relaxed. Even when I was going for my visa interview, there's that little pressure. But at the back of my mind, I was like, you know
It's
what?
okay.
This thing is gonna work out. Yeah.
You talked to your father being a pastor, and I've had stories of people doing funny things at that visa interview, praying and all. Were the prayers heavier towards the end?
No, I wasn't a normal person. You wouldn't even see me. I prayed in the morning before going at home, just like most people do, especially Christians, people that believe in God. The people do a prayer in the morning, like in the morning when you wake up, you pray for a good day, you pray for God to bless you. It's just a normal routine. Like, okay, I woke up in the morning, said my prayer, and because that was a special day, you must mention it. You say, okay, help me, let me get this visa, if you will, because at the end of the day, it's God's will.
Yeah. So you go in, you get the visa. Good news. First of all, are you an only child? How many are you in your family?
No, we're many. Actually,
wow.
Yeah, one day I said in my class, and that caught my professor's attention. So my professor asked us to introduce ourselves, maybe say something a little bit about our family, and guess what? That's Professor Alexander. So I said, Professor, for us we are 9. We're 9 kids, and that is just my biological 8 biological siblings, right? But then I also have other siblings from my adoptive parent side, and there are also many. They're probably more than 9.
So you grew up in a very heavy community.
So I grew up in a community. I didn't grow up in a small. We always many at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the funniest thing is, God has seen us through. Even though we are many, through struggles, we still went to the best schools. I went to one of the best schools in my secondary. I went to the best university in the country, and they're all expensive. But all thanks to God.
Nice. So
Yeah.
fast forward, you've gotten the visa. You're in that zone between visa and flight. You're waiting. You get on the flight. How can you remember how you are feeling when you get on that flight?
I think I felt good.
Yes, my life is about to change.
I felt good, but it wasn't my first time on a flight, so
Yeah, but this is going to New York flight.
but I'm going to New York, so definitely it's a little different, and it's one of the actually the longest flight I've been
Yeah,
on.
it's long.
For sure.
It's
So
long.
our flight was about, I think, 18
it's
hours,
long.
I think.
It's long.
Yeah, because when you go to Addis Ababa, you take a break. It was a 3-hour layover in Addis Ababa. No, 4 hours. Then there was a 1-hour layover in Abidjan. I had 2 layovers, man. Then from Abidjan, it was a straight 9 hours.
Yeah,
New York.
that's long. That's
Yeah,
long.
it was probably 18 hours.
So
It was a long one.
then
But
you land.
it was a good feeling. I felt like, okay, that's cool. But the feeling of the flight wasn't that magical because I had been on a flight before. So I think the first time a flight is magical is the very first day you have a flight. That's when
Yeah.
you feel like, okay, this is a little
Something.
different.
So you get to New York.
Mhm.
What was your first impression?
So my first impression in New York was, it was hot.
Wait, you
I'm
came in
gonna
the
tell
summer?
you guys that. People are surprised. You're not in the summer. I came in the fall.
Oh, you came in the fall. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But
That's
guess
around
what?
August.
Yeah, so when the plane is landing, they announce it's gonna be this and this degrees hot.
In
It's gonna be
Fahrenheit.
the strangest thing, I think, because they probably knew there were, I think, I remember the degrees was Celsius, yeah.
Oh, they told. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, because they have international.
They have
Okay,
international people coming from different countries that don't understand the whole degrees Fahrenheit thing. Up to now, I still don't understand it. So they mentioned 30 degrees. I was like, what? This is hotter than my country at this season. In that particular season, it was hotter than Uganda. So when I tell
Yeah.
people that sometimes New York is hotter than Kampala, they'd be like, are you for real? I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
in the summer it does get
And
hot.
in summer, it goes
today,
right now. Today, I came literally, I was dripping, man.
yeah,
It
it
was
was
too
about
hot.
30 and that was at midday.
Yeah. So that's the first impression of New York City. Second was, so when I get off the plane, then you go through the customs and immigration, blah, blah, blah. And then, so me, I came here by myself. No one was waiting to pick me up from the airport.
Are you
So
serious?
yes, and all I had was my address where I will be staying for the night. So I've gotten like an Airbnb for 4 nights. Before
Yeah.
then, I can start figuring out what next to do. So when I get off the airport,
First of all, let's pause. You are the only Ugandan at the school so far. At least
exactly.
for us who you brought on, we had you to guide us, but you're the only Ugandan.
I was the only one.
Go on.
So the only person that I knew before coming to Yeshiva were my Nigerian friends, right? So in the process of getting this visa or blah, 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 we kind of got connected because there was like a WhatsApp group that was having students, international students, so all over the place. So we kind of singled each other out and we were like, oh, you're from Nigeria. Then we kind of formed a clique. So before we came here, we already had a clique. Well, I knew,
at least that's nice.
yeah, I knew 2 people, right? So I knew Amaka. That was Amaka was the
Shout
first
out to
person
Amaka.
I knew before coming to Yeshiva. The very first person I ever interacted with, even before Amaka got her offer at Yeshiva University, I already had interacted with
Yeah,
her.
she's a good soul.
Yeah, so I already chat with her. Then another person that I got to know before coming to Yeshiva was Joy.
Oh,
Joy
yeah,
Livingstone.
he also
So
helped.
and I incidentally they came to New York before me. I was like one of those last people that came.
Oh, so
I
you were at the
actually
airport and called them.
No, I didn't call nobody.
Oh, you
I
went
didn't call
straight to the
anyone.
Airbnb.
I just went by, everything was by myself. Like I said, I like to do things without involving anyone else.
So you're at the airport, no
I'm at the
wireless.
airport, no-
Uganda
Oh, well, I
Airtel is
got-
not roaming.
Yeah. I use MTN. My MTN is no roaming and I just have the Wi-Fi. Well, MTN does roam actually.
Yeah, but okay. So
Yeah. So I had the Wi-Fi. I'm like, okay, let me Google my address real quick. Well, it didn't even matter at that point. So I was like, I made my research. So I knew these airport taxis are really expensive. So, but then you could use the train. So you see, one of the most important things is before you travel somewhere new, try to make some research of your own.
yes.
Now, let me backtrack a little bit. So one thing happened. I booked the wrong address at first, like the wrong booking, like
serious?
wrong Airbnb at first. I booked a place in Kansas. Yes, I booked a place in Kansas.
Are you serious?
I realized that at the airport. I was like, let me check my address real quick. I was like, hold on. This is Kansas. I'm going to New York. I started Googling on them. I'm like, look, this is not even where I'm supposed to go. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. So what am I going to do? I went and canceled that booking. Lucky enough, these people, like, when like you book, they kind of do, before they take your money, right? I think they refund you or something. So I canceled that booking. Then I went ahead and booked a place in Jamaica, Queens. So that place is called Jamaica, Queens. So one of the weirdest thing was, so when I was trying to clear with in Uganda, right? I was trying to get to the airlines, the staff airline, they check your details. So this lady was, I don't know why she was too interested in knowing where I was going. Obviously, I have a visa on my passport, which is a student visa, and it's an American visa issue. She should be knowing that I'm going to the US. So she asked me where I was going. I'm like, I'm going to New York. Then she's like, could you show me your address? I'm like, okay, cool. I gave her my address. She looked at the address. I thought she was probably looking on the internet, trying to Google the address. Yeah. Because when you see Jamaica, I think
for them they thought
they thought, maybe Jamaica, the country.
Yeah. But they usually pick something and go with that.
Yeah. And then she was like, okay, cool. So
did you get an Uber from there? Did you get a train?
No. What happened is, of course, I knew the Ubers, these taxis, the yellow cabs. I knew they were expensive. I already done my research.
Use the train?
I wanted to use, exactly. So I wanted to use the cheapest means possible to get me to my address. So I get
new to the country and you're bold enough to use the subways.
Trust me, man. I got on the air train. I don't even know where I'm going. I asked this guy, I think he's Jamaican. I'm like, I'm going to Jamaica. How am I getting there? The guy explained to me, but I didn't even get the accent really well. I asked a few people and I'm like, it's not even helping. So I hopped on this train. I got on the train up to the last stop. I get off and I'm like, okay. So one funny thing is this train is tricky. You think it's free, you're paying at the end. That's the funniest thing about the air train. So I got on the air train. I'm like, oh, this air train is free. They're not even charging me.
Not in America.
Hey, by the way, one thing. They charged me for using the Katz.
The Katz, yes. That was my first also impression in America. To show you that, yes, welcome to the land of...
It's capitalist.
Paying.
Who does that? I mean, how would you charge for a Katz? I was like, going to use the card. It was locked. Then I asked this guy, I'm like, how am I going to get this card off? He was like, you need to pay some money. I'm like, what? Money? Okay, I got him some dollars. Then he got me some coins. Apparently, you have to use coins or something. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then he helped me out and I picked one card and rolled my stuff. And jumped on the air train, got at Jamaica.
How many bags did you have?
I had 2 bags.
Damn.
Yeah, I had 2 bags. I had to roll, man. And one thing is, some people are really nice. At the Laticbe airport, some guy was offering to help me out with 1 bag. I'm like, no, I'm good.
So you get in your Airbnb,
So look, I get on the air train and I get off Jamaica. I'm like, bro, now you're here. I got off out of the station, and now you're in Jamaica, New York City, Queens. I'm like, where do I start from? I look around. One of the first impressions, I see some guy shouting, holding a Jamaica flag. I'm like, really, you're in Jamaica right now. That's real, you're in Jamaica. I hold the flag. I see some guy holding the flag, making some noise. I'm like, man. And then the smell. That's one thing that caught me.
New York.
That smell was different. I never smelled something like that. But I felt. Then later I knew probably it was weed or something.
Yeah, it's legal in New York.
I thought it was weed because where I come from, I used to stay next to a ghetto, and ghettos are known for weed and stuff. Yeah. So where I stay in Uganda, like during my undergrad, we stayed near a ghetto, so a lot of people smoked weed. So I kind of knew how weed smells. So when I kind of connected, I'm like, okay, this must be weed.
So let me fast forward a bit, because I want to get your impression when now you're in Airbnb and then first time you come to the city, to Manhattan.
Okay, that's interesting.
Did you get lost? Did you sometimes with the subways, the food, the culture? Give me that impression.
No. Getting lost is something normal in New York City, especially if it's your first time. You should not get scared of getting lost. One thing with me is I hated using the Google Maps. Because I never
You can't
used Google
survive.
Maps
You
since
can't,
I was in
back
Uganda.
home, we don't
I
use
never
those
used Google
things. You
Maps.
just get
I
a
probably
bike,
used Google Maps
get a
like
border.
twice in my entire life in Uganda. I remember 2 occasions where I used Google Maps. So when I came here, I thought I could find my way without Google Maps. Guess what? I was wrong. And for some reason, I felt like the Google Maps hated me. Because sometimes you feel like it's taking you the wrong direction, and then you have to keep moving, circling around, back and forth,
And
and
New
it's
York is a
annoying.
grid.
And you feel like people are looking at you.
No one judges.
It's really annoying
New York
sometimes.
is a grid.
But I eventually I got used to the Google Maps. I got lost a few times. Sometimes you miss your stop, you end up in a different area.
Yeah.
So I even remember the first time I came to school, I got lost somehow, but I found my way. I remember getting off like almost 1 mile away from school. So I checked my maps. I'm like, the school is 1 mile away. I'm like, no, 1 mile, I can walk this. So I kept walking, following the Lexington Avenue until I got to the school. I even missed the orientation because, I had to be moving about, trying to get to school. I mean, the second orientation that was meant for international students. Yeah. So I missed that. Then the same day I met Joy, I met Aka, I met Rachel. I took
So how did you eventually, so I want to get to the crust of this. You are the only Ugandan in your school. Most of us are lucky we came with people we already have people from the country. Talk to me about accommodation, because most people want to stay with people from their own countries.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that, accommodation, circles, not speaking your language for almost a year because you have no one to speak it with. Tell me, give me that experience.
So now for accommodation, I'm looking out for some online. I Google a lot, so I go online looking for accommodations, shared renting, having roommates, Roomie like there's this app called Roomie. I think it's Roomie dot something. I don't remember. So I tried to use those platforms to get housing, right? It was challenging, getting the right people. I shared.
How many nationalities
roommates.
did you stay with?
I stayed with Americans. I stayed with Dominican. Well, I stayed with Dominican Americans. I stayed with Dominican who does not speak English.
Wow.
And we used to communicate with Google Maps. Google Translator.
Wow,
so you say something and I can't understand what he's saying, then he types it to me. But he was a cool guy. He left me with his rollerboard. When he left, he was like, I'll come back and pick this rollerboard. Guess what? He never came back. I still have this rollerboard today. Nice. I live with Americans. I live with a Colombian. Yeah, so, but,
By the time I got in touch with you, you are living with Indians.
Yeah, when you got in touch with me, I was living with an Indian roommate. So I've experienced a lot of culture. Yeah,
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And in terms of not having to speak with your own people, homesickness, did that ever kick in?
Yeah, I thought I was a loner until I came to New York. That is when it hit me that I actually miss being around people that speak the same language like I do, people that understand my culture. That's when it hit me. Because imagine, it's not the first time I traveled, but it's the first time I traveled thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
The farthest I had traveled until before I came to New York was probably the DRC, Congo. That was like the farthest. And the longest I had stayed away from home, where I stayed for 8 months. But here I am. I'm probably going to stay more than a year, maybe more than 2 years without seeing my people.
Different culture, people.
Different,
Not having your food, not having your language, not.
Exactly.
How did you deal with that? How did you?
It was challenging, but you make phone calls once in a while with your family, and then you also have like a support community of Africans. You chill, hang out with them sometimes. I'm more of an indoors person, so I rarely go out. Except with friends. I don't really go out if I'm not going out with anybody that I know, or I rarely go out. I rather stay indoors. That was kind of challenging for me to manage, the loneliness. So, it was hard, but, you just have no choice sometimes.
And luckily you found a solution. Like you mentioned at the beginning, you started spreading the word.
Mm-hmm.
You told some of us about it.
Exactly.
You're not the one who told me about it, but at least I know you. We got in touch and then you started telling me, advising us how we'll find accommodation so that we don't have to go through what you went through. That's part of the paying it forward.
Exactly.
And that if I go through something, the next person after me
doesn't have to go through.
I've already faced that challenge. I'll just tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So we get in touch and then luckily for you, some 5. How many were we?
You
when
guys
we
were
came?
5. You
No, we
guys,
came 4.
No, 4. Then
So now we're
you
5 in
became
the whole
5.
school.
Exactly. That was the first time. Bro, it was exciting, man. It was so exciting. Because at least when you guys came in, among the people that among your intake, I got to know at the end.
Yeah.
But the other 3 guys, I directly
linked them
up.
Yeah, it was actually a friend who was from a different university who told me about the university. I applied, get in, but then I thought it was going to be like a full, payment. Then I didn't know, how to pay for the course. They had given me the course. I didn't know how to pay for it. And then he told me, go get in touch with someone who's already there. They get me in touch with Collins.
That's Collins.
So Collins was the first. Then Collins is the one who told me about Empower.
So Collins is, Collins gets in touch with me through a friend who is in Texas.
Yes, Texas.
So to
guy.
date, on my phone, I still save Collins' name as Collins.
Texas.
Not Collins, Texas. I save him as Collins Komakechi's friend. Because the guy in Texas is called Komakech.
Yeah,
so Komakech linked me up. Was like, there's this guy who wants to come and do his master's in the US. He's called Collins.
Yeah.
Could you help him out? I was like, cool. Just get me in touch with him.
So we got in touch.
Yeah.
It was a click. Had some Zoom calls.
Yeah, I remember.
And then here we are
before the interviews, right? Before the visa interviews.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're like telling you guys are gonna make it.
I remember you told me something that I would never forget. You're like, because most of us when we're back home were worried about how would we survive. It's New York's the most expensive city in the world. And I remember you told us, don't worry, you'll figure it out. You can't fail to survive here. There's tons of ways to make money, which is something I want to pass on to anyone who's having the same fear. You'll find a way. New York is a broad city. There's so many free resources. There's so many subsidies for even students, so many discounts. You will survive. As long as accommodation taken care of, the rest you'll be fine.
That's for sure.
So I want to take you back now to like the school itself, like the teaching methods, the classrooms, the professors. Coming from Uganda, I know our teaching style. I've gone through it. Makerere yafe.
Yeah, Big up Makerere University.
And then you come.
It made us who we are.
Made us who we are. Here we are.
Yeah.
And then you come here. Can you paint that picture of the difference in, first of all, the education, the teaching? Is it different, first of all, from your perspective?
Yeah, there's quite a difference. Yeah, that's for sure. So one thing for sure is the class size. That is one major difference. So here, classes seems to be smaller. And I think that's important because it helps you to have like a one-on-one or a more personal relationship with your professor. Professors here tend to know their students. They know you by your name. In Uganda, for you to be known by your professor, you either have to be, I don't want to use
stand out.
Yeah, you have to really stand out.
Yeah.
It's very hard. You have to really stand out. Maybe be a straight A student, a very smart student for you to be known, or you have to be a stubborn student.
Nice.
So you either do it the good way or get known for the wrong reasons. Well, sometimes you're stubborn in a good way as well. I used to be a stubborn guy, but in a good way. So
the difference here is the class is small.
Class size.
Yeah.
And also the teaching methods are quite different. Here they encourage a lot of student participation. Like your opinion counts so much.
Yes, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly. There's no wrong answer. Students are more free to express themselves to their students here.
How was your classroom? I know the staying in the environment, you're staying with all these sorts of different people from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
How was your classroom? Were you the only...
Actually, in my classroom, we were two black people. We were the two black students.
All Africans?
All Africans.
Nice.
Elijah and Joy. Joy, my best friend.
So did that help you get out of your bubbles, give you some exposure? How was the community in class?
Now, it's good because when you get to meet new people, right, you tend to start to appreciate, like, you appreciate people from different cultures. If you've only been in the same environment, now when you hop into an environment that is multicultural, it kind of enables you to like get out of your comfort zone. You get to try to understand other people's cultures, try to understand how they behave. For instance, most of our colleagues are Indian students. Indian students are more reserved compared to African students. There are certain things you might not say or do when you're interacting with an Indian student, but you might do when you're interacting with your African students. So getting that sort of difference in culture is really important. So it helps you like figure out how to deal with people from different,
Nice.
environments. So it's good actually. It could be challenging in the start.
but
For
it's good.
instance, especially the language could be challenging. My most
They don't understand
experience
your accents.
was quite hard. At first, I used to fail to understand a lot of my Indian friends when they were speaking. It took me a few weeks for me to get used. You have to pay extra attention. If someone is speaking, you have to really pay extra attention. But I think it's also good in a way because it helps you to, it builds you, like it makes you a different person.
Nice. 2 years down the road, you're done.
Yeah,
Cyber. How was it, first of all? 2 years.
I enjoyed cybersecurity. I enjoyed my professors, especially Mr. Alexander, Abramovich, my best professor.
Nice.
I also have Mr. Tariq,
So looking back, the Elijah 2 years ago from northern Uganda, just seated there hoping to come versus the Elijah now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you perceive yourself as a changed man? What would you tell that Elijah back then?
Back then, one thing I would tell Elijah, and I still tell Elijah right now, even the same Elijah right now, is just keep working, keep pushing, keep doing what you love, irrespective of the results at that point. If something doesn't work out, just change how you do it.
Interesting.
Keep changing, adjust according to the trend, the market. Let's assume is things dynamic, because this world is so dynamic, right? What worked 5 years ago might not work now. So one thing I would advise Elijah back then, and I still advise Elijah today, is keep learning, relearning, and unlearning. Just keep pushing, no giving up.
As we finalize, I want to ask you if you had, from your 2 years experience at the Katz School, if you had a magic wand and you change something about your entire experience, add, remove, more of, less of, what would you do? What would you do with that magic wand?
With that magic wand, I would create a program at Yeshiva University that encourages international students to learn a little bit about the Jewish culture, especially the language.
Okay.
I felt like it's embarrassing a little bit to me because when you look at the Yeshiva University badge, it's a Jewish word, right?
Yeah.
But trust me, I don't even know a single Jewish alphabet.
Interesting.
I feel like there's a little disconnect between international students and because now this is a Jewish university in America. You understand? It would be different if it was in Israel maybe, right? But the fact that probably it's in America, maybe that's where the challenge comes in. But it's still, if you're in a university that is formed based off a certain culture, I don't want to go into religion. I want to use the cultural aspect of it, because being Jewish comes in with the culture as well, the language being different, right? So I want to focus more on the language, because I feel like language is something that a lot of people would be interested in learning. I might not be interested in practicing a certain culture, right? Because of my faith, because I'm Christian, and Christians and Jewish have some differences, right? I might want to practice my faith in a different way, but at least one thing I would love to share is the language.
Okay.
I feel like if there was a way for us to learn a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of the language, understand the badge, what is on the badge, what does it mean? I can't read it. Teach us some Hebrew. Actually, my father used to read the Hebrew Bible. Yeah, because he did theology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did theology. So during his times when he was studying, they taught them the Hebrew language, a little bit of it. I understand the Hebrew has a little bit of like when you speak Amharic.
Yeah,
I had Amharic. The Ethiopian language has a mixture of Hebrew and Arabic
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of,
It's a hard language
it's
also.
a hard language because I hear they write the Hebrew starting from the left, right?
Mm.
They write starting from the left to the right. And the same with Arabic. Arabic is also written starting from the left to the right. So I feel like the calligraphy is a little bit hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like, that's one thing I would change. I would want to add, not change, but I would want to add that
Nice.
aspect of integrating,
So for my last round, I have a couple of fire round questions.
Okay, let's go.
Just short form. Give me a short answer.
Mhm.
And so, if you're a villain in a movie, what would your villain name be?
Man, that's a hard one. I was a villain in a movie.
Laticbe is a villain.
I don't know.
Superhero name?
A superhero name? Man, that's a hard one.
Okay, we'll find another one.
That's a hard one.
New York is expensive, but you also can easily spend because things are easy for you to access. So what's the most you've ever spent on something completely unnecessary?
What did I spend on? That was unnecessary.
An iPhone 16.
No. I did. Oh, I just spent on this phone.
But that's necessary. That's a phone.
I mean, it's necessary, but it's unnecessary because I wasn't supposed to spend on it. So I added my friends on a plan, right? And because of that plan, I was given a free phone.
Oh.
And then we decided to downgrade. And when we downgraded, they were like, okay, because you downgraded, now we are getting you off the free plan. You need to pay for this phone.
Oh.
Yes. So that was unnecessary. I shouldn't have spent money on that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's
sorry,
one
sorry.
thing. Yeah. I could have bought an iPhone with the money I'm going to pay for this phone. Could have bought an iPhone 16.
First thing you'd buy if you got 10K right now.
10K right now?
It's the first thing you'd buy.
First thing I would buy a piece of land in my home country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Responsible.
10K can actually buy a good piece of land in northern Uganda in a rural area where you can practice agriculture. So I would probably buy 5 acres of land and I would still have some balance. Yeah. I wouldn't use all the 10K. I would actually use part of the 10K.
What's the best decision you made last year? Best decision you made last year?
Last year. Best decision I made last year.
Continuing to stay in school.
Well-
in school, kids.
Last year, the best decision I made, I think, was enrolling on a hands-on program where I learned vulnerability analysis and penetration testing.
Nice.
Yeah, because that added something great to my career. At least I have something to show off. Like I did this. Yeah.
My last two. What would you bring to a zombie apocalypse? That's not a weapon. Zombie apocalypse, Walking Dead has broken out. What are you bringing? That's not a weapon because everyone will say guns. What are you bringing?
I think I would bring a mask.
And then the last one, if you could swap brains with anyone for a day, who would it be?
I would swap my brain with Elon Musk.
Really?
I want to know how he thinks.
Ah.
I want to know how he thinks.
All right. Thank you, Elijah, for being here. This has been
I appreciate
amazing. We thank you for us who you paved the way for.
Wow.
We admire your story, coming here, knowing no one in the country, knowing nothing, being the first of your kind in the country, and still powering through the different cultures, the culture shocks, through the expensive New York, through the mazes and getting lost. You are very courageous to use the subway the first time.
Yeah, I did.
That's
man.
courage. That's
And
courage,
actually, when I go to pick up people,
yeah.
I always encourage them to use the subway. I take them to the subway.
I encourage you to
It
use
is-
an Uber.
It's the cheapest. I tell you, bro, it's the cheapest. If you have someone because now look, you have me, right?
Yeah.
Then there's no need for spending all that money.
And yeah, I
Getting an
understand
Uber,
you from
right?
that perspective.
I mean,
understand
in New
you.
York City, if you can handle the subway, that's the easiest way to get around.
Okay.
And the cheapest as well.
Okay. So any last words, inspiration, anyone who's looking to walk this path, what do you have words for them?
My last words would just be, words of encouragement. Just do whatever you do with the best of your ability. Irrespective of whether you're seeing the reward right away. Your reward might not be at that point. Your reward might be in the future. It might be through your kids. It might be through your descendants. It might be through your grandkids. Just do whatever you have to do with the best of your ability. And most importantly, believe in God and serve your purpose on earth. That's it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Elijah.
You're welcome.